Hey, welcome to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and we are here to break down part 2 of season 2 of the Audible original Impact Winter, the post-apocalyptic vampire series. Spoilers are ahead. In the Vampire Council's headquarters, we find the wife interrogating Darcy's maker, Rook.
Where have you sent your daughter?
I haven't sent her anywhere. She is free to move about as she desires.
Now, though she is quite persuasive, Rook successfully avoids revealing the location of his scion, although there is a problem.
I haven't fed in some time.
There's a human sitting in your cell.
That human is my scion's own sister.
That puts you in a difficult position.
Having no further use for Rook, the wife orders him back to his cell, but only after the prospector injects him with silver. As he is escorted back, Rook taunts the prospector. We discover that the queen herself has disappeared for nearly 2 decades, and no one knows where she is. Now, I talked about this in our last video, but when I picture the Vampire Queen, I see somebody like Maleficent. They're both regal sorceresses who bring about the destruction of mankind or a kingdom to further their own ambitions. Hope journals in a small notebook. She's been in their joint cell for 3 days. When Rook is brought back in, he educates her on their guard, the prospector. He is a royal incarnata, an elevated shade of the queen. The silver he injects Rook with temporarily mutes his powers. This is something else that Impact Winter has reinvented from classical vampire stories. An injection is a loss of control that usually represents us, the humans, the audience. The character is rendered immobile while the audience is unable to change the course of the story. There's a lot of POV in Dracula of the main character being immobile. In Impact Winter, Beecham has altered vampire lore to make vampires capable of using injections on other vampires. For example, a wooden stake to the chest only immobilizes a vampire. It does not kill them. It's a subtle way of making us, the audience, sympathize with the vampire heroes in the story. On day 4, Hope awakens from a vision of her love interest, Lydia, feeding on her blood and telling her to keep going. Rook is growing hungrier but refuses to drink from Darcy's sister.
There is one idea we should probably talk about.
What's that?
The one where I die and come back.
Rook warns her that this would be a roll of a die. She would just pass on if she didn't want the transformation with her soul, and while she did want it back in season 1, she no longer does. I wonder why.
Lydia, oh Lydia, say have you met Lydia?
Another reason Rook doesn't want to turn Hope is because of what Darcy said to him once at a train station.
As long as she's alive, I've kept my promise. That girl will see the sun again, so help me God.
She's literally Darcy's hope. It would destroy Darcy if anything happened to her sister, so Rook can't even think about the option to try to change her. Hope has an idea and begins to take her boots off. They actually aren't hers, but Penelope's.
The one who killed her maker.
Yeah, that's her. I once asked her how she managed it, killing an overlord.
What does she say?
You know what? It sounded so ridiculous that I thought she was joking.
She removes a knife hidden in Penelope's boot, asks Rook to do his best not to kill her, and cuts her wrist with the knife.
What?
And this idea of a human willingly feeding a vampire with a warning to not drink too much blood is deeply symbolic. Like we mentioned in our last breakdown, Dracula and early vampire stories were related to the anxiety over strangers sexualizing young virgin women. The act of submitting, of giving part of yourself to a dangerous older person, is symbolic of the act of losing your virginity. Meanwhile, the wife and another council member, Bello, chat about the queen's disappearance.
What if she sealed herself away somewhere, holding the dark up with her mind until the end of time?
She's concerned more about who will rise against them if the queen does not show her face soon. The wife orders to have Hope and Rook brought before her. She intends to snuff out that light. The prospector comes to get them, but Rook and Hope play the get help trick on him.
Get help! Please! My brother's dying! Get help! Help him!
Rook had indeed fed on Hope, but only enough to regain his strength so Hope could stab their guard in the heart with Penelope's dagger.
See there? Told you it was real silver.
Rook rips off the prospector's head and instructs Hope to keep her dagger before they head out. She's going to need it. On the road, Penelope is traveling with Lydia. She keeps a field log in the process.
We left the castle the day before last, on our way to find Darcy.
In our last breakdown video, we talked about how letters and journaling were used by Bram Stoker to tell the story of Dracula, and this is also a common device for audio series like the Audible original Impact Winter. But I gotta switch genres for just a second and acknowledge the OG horror writer Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which also told the story through journals and was written 79 years before Dracula.
It's alive! It's alive!
Okay, so back to Impact Winter. They were briefly attacked by some blighters and got a brake line loose in their vehicle, so they head up to Yorkshire to meet up with Gussie's ex-husband. Fun fact for Lydia, he doesn't know that Darcy is a vampire, and so is Penelope. When they arrive at the farmland, Kilgore Noakes is skeptical but lets them in when Penelope delivers Gussie's full name.
Marjorie Augusta Blackwood.
The entire time they stay with him, Lydia is a ticking time bomb of passive-aggressive energy. She constantly comments about vampires and blood, especially when they discover Kilgore's mother was a vampire, whose skull he keeps as a reminder of what's out there, and at dinner when Penelope is fed a rare steak.
I'm all ears. You want to get into it?
Nope.
Suit yourself.
I should also mention the crucial role that farms and farmland play in vampire stories. Victorian vampire stories occur in castles and in the countryside, far from the cities and towns where these civilized people live.
Yeah, person, and did you know that actually the words villain and villages have the same root word villa, because in the Middle Ages, pagans lived outside the castle and were regarded as villains or villagers.
How did you know all that?
I read.
Now Lydia does want to get into it after they leave. She recounts what it was like to be in the Soho blood farm and then attempts to interrogate Penelope about what happened with Hope and Humble John.
It's weird that you didn't see it coming, though. That blighter that got her, I don't get that.
I told you, it was a rare one.
Yeah, but you heard of him, right?
He had no reason to be there.
Except he did. She shouldn't have been out there.
You try telling her that.
Why didn't you?
Penelope grows tired of defending herself and mentions Emily, a woman that Lydia called out in her vision to silence her. But it doesn't last. At a broken bridge over a narrow gorge, Lydia draws a crossbow on Penelope, threatening to take her out. But now, everything seems to click. Lydia fires, and an arrow goes through Penelope's neck. Pushed past the point of no return, Penelope shoves Lydia in the chest, making her body fall 12 meters.
Let's get into it. You hate what I had with her.
Stop it!
You hate that she was more at home out here with me, a vampire, than she ever was with you.
She's fine. February 17th, Whisper's funeral is held. Darcy had made herself invisible to retrieve Whisper's head from the militia quietly. After the eulogy, Darcy lights her torch and touches the pyre as the group sings The Parting Glass.
Oh, that's so sad.
Hey buddy, it's okay.
Thanks, it's just so beautiful.
I agree. Afterwards, Darcy plans to leave. She can't stay here anymore, but there is one problem. The dagger she retrieved is doing strange things to her. It acts as a type of pensieve, taking her back in time to witness the Queen's memories when she touches it, and it also affects her behavior, not unlike the way Voldemort affects Harry Potter. On February 22nd, she heads out to Dubrovnik, but senses something is wrong and calls to have Felix meet her at their beach. She's terrified. She awoke covered in blood during one of the flashbacks with the dagger. It turned out that she had actually murdered everyone in the militia, every last man, woman, and child, murdered by her lioness form. Did we also mention that she can shapeshift into a lioness? And she had blocked it out.
And then I found the footprints. Lion footprints. Darcy. It was me, Felix.
And I love that Travis Beacham has added this new aspect of transformation into vampire lore. Vampire stories are inherently about transformation. Vampires are a threat to the proper pious society because they can give birth to new beings without having sex. When vampires transform into other animals, it extends the metaphor that they are beings that live beyond the confines of the natural world. The ability to transform into animals links vampires to a state that predates humanity. After all, in the book of Genesis in the Bible, God made animals before he made human beings. Dracula, like Rook, changes into a dog, and we all expect vampires to turn into monsters like wolves, your mom, or bats. But Impact Winter is the first time that I've heard of vampires choosing an animal that's based on like who they are on the inside. This takes the idea of a Native American spirit animal and blends it seamlessly with vampire lore. And in hindsight, the big twist about Darcy was foreshadowed by her being a white lioness, but more on that later. In a helicopter, Hope journals of her travels with Rook. Once they have escaped, they traveled through the medieval alleys avoiding main roads, stole a car, and attempted to prepare a yacht while the council searched for them. Not only have they sent bloodhounds and blighters after them, but the wife herself has taken the form of a massive dragon to hunt them down. There is panic.
Is that even possible?
The dust from the comet should have cleared by now. The belief is that the Queen is using her powers to keep the world eternally dark. As they prepare the yacht, Rook heads to a tavern to retrieve food for Hope. A female vampire tracks them there, but this time, she's a friend.
This is Josette Dupre. She's my maker's lieutenant. Josette, this is Hope Dunraven.
Fëanor has sent Joseph to retrieve Rook, who came by helicopter. Hope brightens at the knowledge that she will get to see her sister again. While traveling, Rook shares some history about himself and his maker, Fëanor, with Hope.
I was a soldier when I met Fëanor in the Roman occupation of Britain. She was a Celtic woman. Bit strange, I thought. But as I got to know her, her strangeness became irreplaceable.
The council had initially told Fëanor that the comet would hit around Greenland as they wanted to be rid of her. When the comet hit, Fëanor told Rook that she would head to Ireland to wait for the Winter Child. He is puzzled why she would even want to take up this fight.
I've found in my many years that there are two ways to spend forever. You can grow aloof and bored, or you can find the fight you're willing to die for.
As they reach the helicopter, the bloodhounds are closing in. There are too many of them, and Joseph needs more time to get the copter in the air. Rook bids farewell and commands Hope to
Go.
They depart as a sea of blighters engulfs Rook, who is changed into his dog form.
What are you doing to me?
I know, bud, just hang in there.
So you hang in there, man. You hear me?
One person who isn't dead is Lydia. She awakens in a pub with Penelope, who's been tending to her wounds. They agree to patch things up, literally and figuratively.
Are we becoming friends now?
Well, yeah.
Needing supplies, Penelope heads out in the snow to retrieve some, but she's being followed.
Shit. I smell the blood of a stubborn English fox.
It's Humble John. The council figured that Penelope would lead them straight to Darcy if Hope had been kidnapped, and they were correct. He tries to make a deal to trade one sister for the other, but Penelope doesn't believe him.
You sit on a throne of lies.
She rushes back to get Lydia, but Kilgore has also followed them. He attacks Penelope and places a detonator on her collar. Thanks to Lydia's slide comments, Kilgore deduced that Penelope was a vampire.
You can learn a lot from Lydia.
What he didn't learn is that Penelope is stronger than she looks. She frees herself and knocks him out just as Humble John arrives. They escape out the window and leave him a present.
Clever fox.
Windows are also prevalent and symbolically important in vampire stories. Carmilla appears in a castle window. In The Little Vampire, Rudolph first enters Tony's room by flying through the window as a little bat. And there's this horrifying scene from Salem's Lot.
But why are they so important?
Well, think of like a young woman in the medieval ages or the Victorian age, locked away from the world, kept in her room with only a window to the outside world. Vampires often appear at windows, requesting to be invited in, going back to how the earliest vampire stories were reflections of sexual anxiety and strangers intruding on this private space that women had. But Impact Winter is all about subverting vampiric tropes while also employing them. So, in this instance, the heroes use a window for escape instead of a villain using it for an entrance. Recognizing his error in judgment, Kilgore extends an olive branch by offering to get the girls to the marina so they can take a ship to Ireland. Together, all three set sail.
But he got us to the marina. Even got this trawler up and running. I had him come along in case his handiwork conked out on us. But so far so good.
Should be fun, right? Over in Ireland, Darcy chats with Fëanor about what happens when she touches the dagger.
And at the appointed time, she shall find this blade waiting at her hip, a sharpened piece of sky rejoined by blood.
Fëanor thought that the blade was a physical weapon to take down the Queen, but it appears that the blade provides more of a psychic connection, meaning that if Darcy can mentally defeat the Queen, she can kill her.
Or like in Stranger Things.
Exactly like that. They must act quickly before the Queen catches on. The women move to the chapel to band like the Stepford Cuckoo sisters so Fëanor can help guide Darcy.
Your maker's maker. Feel the connection between us.
Once on the other psychic plane, Darcy sees a montage of memories. The Queen becoming a vampire, a scene of the Queen massacring soldiers that killed her family, and a catacomb where a ritual is taking place to summon the comet.
Darcy.
Well, that sounds like He Who Must Not Be Named.
Really? I don't hear it.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Her connection with Fëanor grows weak as the Queen contacts Darcy in the room where she summoned the comet.
Why?
Because only darkness can save us.
She goads Darcy into striking, claiming that she can undo the past right here and now. Not sure whether she buys it, she goes in for the kill. Next thing she knows, she's at the station heading to the beach where she was with her mother, Jepson, that was her former mentor from last season that attempted to stab her with a silver stake, and Hope the day the comet struck. However, it doesn't feel right.
It's the beach cottage. This is mad. I have no memory of this place. We never made it here.
Darcy continues to play along and attends the beach with everyone.
No, I didn't change the past. That's not possible.
Who told you that?
Star Trek, Terminator, Time Cop, Time After Time.
Quantum Leap?
Whether it's the past or not, she decides to indulge in this new reality, especially since Felix is also in it. Now, I mentioned this in our last video, but Felix reminds me very much of someone like Peeta from the Hunger Games. Somebody who's loyal to the heroine, they're not quite together when the story starts, but their mutual love grows over time. She meets him at the beach and grabs ice cream later in the evening. The day was so perfect, she completely starts to buy that she won, that she really did defeat the Queen, until she returns to find the door open and her family dead.
There's been some kind of attack. My sister and Mum are hurt. Badly hurt.
The Queen has been toying with her the entire time.
man is the same vicious child today he was then. He never grows, just spreads like a plague.
We never discover the Queen's name as we cut to the future.
Oh, come on!
Hope is journaling. It's March 10th, 2044. She dictates that she's about to tell a story that will break your heart.
Shut up. Just shut up.
We're taken back to when Penelope, Lydia, and Kilgore landed in Ireland. Now, in our last video, I talked about how Penelope is one of, if not my favorite character in this story. She was a spy for the Allies in World War II. She killed Nazis, a lot like Peggy Carter, and she's also a vampire. There's a duality in her that I find fascinating. Penelope goes to fetch a car when Humble John shows up again.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
He's been a stowaway this entire time. He immediately kills off Kilgore and goes after Lydia. Just then, Penelope comes zooming around and rams him into a concrete wall with a vehicle. No more running this time. She draws Hope's sword, Bess.
This one's for Kilgore over there. And this one is for Lydia! This is for me.
Humble John hopefully bites the dust, for good this time.
Hopefully.
As Penelope goes to check on Lydia, a helicopter flies over and they decide to follow it. At the barracks, Felix continues to fret over Darcy's body, now in a trance that's been lying motionless for 2 days. Fenora tells him not to worry, but even she senses that something is off. Just then, the helicopter lands. Joseph arrives with Hope and bad news. Rook did not make it out. Hope, awash with guilt, offers her notebook with a full recount of what happened.
I didn't know what else to do, and I offered her my ratty little notebook.
I wrote it all down, everything that happened.
Of course, she didn't take it.
Things brighten up for Hope when she sees Felix come around the corner. She's relieved to see that he's alive. Well, okay, unalive, but well. He takes her back to the chapel where Darcy lies coma-like, and he brings Hope up to speed. Then they get word that Penelope has arrived with a bruise but managing Lydia. This reunion scene reminded me a lot of when the Fellowship reunited at the end of Return of the King. There are hugs, tears, and laughs with everyone. That night, Hope bandages up Lydia and stays with her, holding her while Penelope and Felix chat while taking watch at the entrance.
Felix, look sharp. Laurie coming.
Who's it now?
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
Meanwhile, Hope goes to speak with Fenora. She's grieving over the loss of Rook.
Some people are so close that they may as well be a part of us. Losing them becomes a kind of disfigurement.
She stands where she changed him 1,600 years ago. It was a bog, not a football pitch then. He was a wounded soldier dying in a field. Just then, her head throbs in pain.
No, something is coming.
At the gate, a battered Kilgore appears. He's there to warn them that Humble John is still alive and begs to be let in. Feeling that all is not what it appears to be, Fenora runs to stop him from being let in while Hope runs to wake up her sister.
Hello, Yor.
Fenora. Alive and well, I see.
You know this man.
He's the Reach. The Queen's spy master.
In the chapel, Hope pleads with her sister to wake up. When she doesn't, she grabs the dagger.
And as soon as I touched it, everything went white, searing and quiet.
Hey, how's she able to grab the dagger?
I don't know.
You don't know or you're not telling me?
I don't know, they never explain it. Well, fully that is.
What does that mean?
Anyways, Darcy awakens and tells Hope everything will be alright. She strides out of the courtyard where the commotion is and Kilgore lunges to attack, but he's stopped by Darcy.
Stop.
Oh.
Kneel.
Oh.
Everyone is completely flabbergasted over this. Fenora inquires how this is possible. A cold feeling runs up and down her spine. Something is not right with Darcy.
I watched Fenora's cautious smile slowly fade as some new realization dawned on her. Her eyes darting to the dagger, she grabbed Darcy's wrist. But Darcy was too quick, too strong, twisting out of her grip to bury the blade in Fenora's gut.
You didn't see that coming?
Darcy killed Fenora with the dagger, her maker's maker, her maker that loved his maker's maker. Everyone is stunned.
She reached out and called the answer down from heaven, a comet that would wipe the world clean. And she waited for thousands of years. The world would be born again, and so would she.
It's sad, but apparently true. Darcy is the Queen reincarnated. She orders Kilgore not to harm anyone here and tells the rest of the group that, should they not stand in her way, no more harm will come to them. Now she must go and rejoin the council, and everyone, and she does mean everyone, must stay behind.
Go about your lives and no harm will come to you. But follow me or try to thwart me in any way, and I can't protect you.
And just like that, Darcy leaves her sister, her lover, and the group of rebels that fought the council, believing that Darcy was the one to bring back the sun and the world as they know it. It's over.
Did we just lose?
Shocked and defeated, Hope prepares to return to Devon while Felix plans to, again, go after Darcy.
At least we can call bullshit on that prophecy.
It says, "The first starkling child of the long winter born shall be the last, for in her wake comes the hope of spring."
The hope of spring.
Yeah, right?
Get it? Get it?
I don't get it.
We've been focusing on Darcy being the one to bring back the sun. Could the prophecy be about Hope instead? Whatever the prophecy actually means, the season ends with Hope questioning it herself, leaving it up to season 3 to provide more intel on its hidden messages. And again, this series is so good at subverting our expectations. It's a common theme in vampire stories for humans to be the one. Buffy was the one slayer. In True Blood, Sookie is a fae with the power to bring vampires into the sunlight. And now we're all left with these questions about what it means to be the one in Impact Winter. But in hindsight, the clue was there all along. Darcy transforms into a white lioness. And what does a lioness do? She protects her cubs. The lioness is the queen. And in season 1, I took the color of the lioness, white, to mean that she was pure. Good. But in fact, the white fur is a reflection of the white snow that blankets the earth. The lioness symbolizes the eternal Impact Winter of the vampires. And that's season 2 of the Audible original series Impact Winter. Did you enjoy the season? Do you believe that Darcy is the queen? Is Hope humanity's last hope? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment below, or you can @Audible and me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Brianna.